In this short video, I'm going to walk you through the report. Right at the front of the report is a list of items that I have called out. This is a quick reference. It's intended to help you identify what sort of conditions are present, and it's in order of the page numbers. So the last page with the last comment comes right at the bottom of the table. As you go through the report, you're going to find various comments. Right at the front here, I tell you that there were no general indications of foundation movement. When I'm looking at a house, I'm looking for brick cracks, sheetrock cracks. I'm looking for signs that the foundation is moving. And at that particular time when we were inspecting today, we didn't find any. So I've said there's no indications of foundation movement. Now, one of the extra things that we do over and above the Trek inspection is produce a plot of the foundation. Here you can see it. This table, P1, P2, P3, P4 are the vectors. P1, R1 is actually at the rear right elevation, and we're running from the right to the left of the elevation, and you can see we've got the rise in the foundation all the way along there. We see we've got a maximum rise 1.4. So it's not varying a great deal for a very large foundation, although it is a little different from the average foundation, because the average foundation is up here, and you can see here we've got a small table, and most foundations only change by as much as 1/4 of an inch, maybe up to 3/8 of an inch. We've got a change here. Now, that was one of the reasons I said to you I wanted you to consider getting a plumber check whether or not there was water present under the foundation, because we found the telltale issue of a rise. This graph here just shows us the plots in 3D, and then we're followed by four graphs of the actual foundation, and we get to the final one here, and you can see what we've got here is a rise in the foundation, the point. We looked at that, didn't we, while we were actually at the house. The grading was okay around the house, but you know, the issue was on the right hand elevation. You remember we talked about that. There was a lot of erosion there. There's also deficiencies in the gutters. This gutter, we didn't actually look at it, but it's on the left of the portico over the top of the front door, and you can see the gutter has moved, and that would be pouring water when it rains over the wall, which is not a good idea. I mentioned here that the swale, the actual swale itself, is not functioning at the front of the right elevation. Now, things like this, very common. You've got water here coming out of a downpipe, and it's just discharging over the actual grade, and that can cause the foundation to move. This should be extended. Some of them were around the house, not all of them were like this. You've got large trees in the yard. The only problem with large trees is they can invade the sewer, but we've looked at the sewer and there's no tree roots in it, which is good news. The roof is composite shingle, and we can see here a couple of things. Here the gutter is emptying over the roof itself. Another gutter here emptying over the roof, and another one there. The problem with this is it erodes the surface of the shingle, and it causes the whole shingle to rot. You can reduce the roof life in that area by 50% or more. It's quite a problem. Really, what you want to do is to bring that water down to the ground, not let it empty over a roof. Then up on the roof too, we got a couple of issues. This is a plumbing jack. It's a vent for the plumbing, and you can see there's caulking around the top of it. Well, they only get caulked if they've been leaking, so I assume there's been a leak there and somebody's gone up and caulked it. This one too, you can see there where the caulking split away from the boot. It's ineffective caulking. It actually makes the problem worse. It doesn't improve it. And there we have another jack on the roof with the same problem. This roof jack here, the top one, that's short. The problem with that is we get heavy snow, which we can get from time to time. That could block that vent, and that could cause a flood inside the house, so you really want to get that fixed. It's a matter of extending it up. It's probably fallen down into the roof. Just get it pushed up and held in place and you'll be fine. Again, another roof jack with the with the caulking. This roof jack's too short. Okay, so attic structure was fine. There was nothing really to comment about it. The walls, there was evidence of water penetration at various points. You know, like this hose bib. There's mortar around it. Should actually have silicone caulking. Around the bathrooms on the second floor, the caulking was cracking, and that's going to allow water to get into the wall system, so you want to fix that. At the front elevation, to the right of the portico, looking at it from the front, there's a hole in the wall up there. That needs to be sealed, otherwise you get water in. And around the trim, pretty well of most of the trim, and this is an example, we've got areas where water's going to get in, so you want to actually get that recorked. Now, we talked about the attic being locked and not being locked, and this attic shouldn't be hanging down like this. It should close completely. In addition to that, it should have a weather seal on it to prevent flames going up into the attic should a vehicle catch fire in the attic. Here in the cabinets, this is not every cabinet, it's not exhaustive. I cover most of the cabinets, but sometimes, you know, there's not a picture. Most of the cabinets have this problem where you've got a hole where the pipe goes through. That needs to be sealed. We got it in the master cabinet. There's a picture there. Behind commodes at the floor, near the floor, there's holes. In the laundry room, where the gas line comes through for the dryer, there's a hole. And then we've got evidence of water penetration. This is in the floor. We talked about this. I believe the cause of this water penetration is the sprinkler system. It's actually affected the floor in the master bedroom. Here's an infrared photograph. The infrared photograph is not so conclusive as the moisture meter, but I use the infrared photograph to tell me whether I need to use the moisture meter. It sort of alerts me to a problem. Here's a moisture meter. It's showing a high level of moisture, and the alarm goes off. Moisture penetration through the walls into the floor in the master closet. And this is one of the bathrooms. It's on the hallway, on the floor, at the just off the master bedroom. So quite a lot of moisture penetration. As I say, I believe that is caused by the irrigation system. It's actually spraying the walls, and it shouldn't do. On the outside, some of the frames around the doors are wet, and you can see the water is shown there, and that needs to be fixed. This is the garage door going from the garage to the house. The hinge at the bottom is broken, and some of the latches, this lock, I couldn't unlock it. I probably got the wrong key, but you know, I don't know that. This is the access door again. Self-closing mechanism is missing from the garage door. Around the house, the windows have weathered and cracked caulking. This is just delayed maintenance. Every house has this. Caulking doesn't last very long under the Texas sun. Now, around the house you have windows with steel lintels. These lintels should have weep holes in them, and they're missing. It's not. Sorry. Let's start again. It is not uncommon to find weep holes missing from over the windows of window lintels. We talked about the master fireplace. It didn't light. In the firebox for the fireplace in the family room, there's evidence of water coming into the chimney. So in the electrical panel, we've got more than one wire in a lug. And where the screw is called a lug, and the wire passes through there, and that lug should only have one wire, and some of them have got 3 or 4. And this is the ground. This has been repeated too with the neutral conductors. They're called grounded conductors. They actually do carry volts, so don't touch them. Then inside the box, we've got some pigtailed connections here. Some missing knockout covers. And then up in the attic, all of the air conditioning units had conductors passing through the actual metal box without protection. What can happen here is the metal can chafe that wire, cause it to actually cut through the insulation, and then as a result of that, it can cause a short circuit. And that could cost you $800 or $900 to replace all the electrical equipment that could be blown due to that short circuit. I use the circuit analyzer around the house. I don't do every outlet, by the way. I do a random selection of them in each room. And what I found was that we've got voltage drops. Now, voltage drops can cause nuisance tripping. They can cause all sorts of problems, not least of which they cause electrical equipment that you plug in to malfunction. And you'll see a series of photographs where these outlets were. But really what you want is an electrician to retune the house who wants to go around and tighten up all the connections in the wall at the outlets and also at the power box, the breaker box. Now in the attic we've got conductors running over service boards. That's very bad. They can get crushed. If they get crushed, they can actually cause a fire. They heat up. In the garage, there's a cover missing from an outlet intended for a dryer. And there's an electrical switch in the attic or outlet where there's no cover. Obviously somebody could put their fingers in there. It's not a joke, actually. It can happen. In there, there's no lights. You reach out, you don't realise that you're grabbing hold of the terminal box, and then all of a sudden you've got an electric shock. On the outside of the house, we have various electrical components fixed to the walls. Wherever they are and they've got power inside them, they should be corked, like these lights here. That goes for the electrical boxes which are mounted on the walls. They all should be corked. We don't want water to come in contact with the conductors. It can energize the wall beneath the conductor. Here we've got flues passing through the attic roof, and they're not bonded. Bonding is important as it reduces the probability of a lightning strike. All of the smoke detectors have been removed from the property. They're actually tucked away in a closet on the second floor, but they're not in place. Not a very wise thing to do, frankly. Now here we got a couple of isolators. They're actually directly behind the compressor. That means if the compressor's on fire, the fire service cannot actually access them. They can't get at them to turn them off. They should never be directly behind the equipment they're protecting. They should be to one side or the other so that you can get at them without coming into contact with the fire. On the right elevation, where the water softener is, there's an incorrect use of a extension lead. It's been used to power the water softener. It's completely wrong. These outlets, which are in the attic, they're actually got plastic covers. Plastic covers are not intended to be used in attics. They can break. If they break, the same problem as if they're missed off. You can allow people to put their fingers in there without realizing it. Heating, it was fine. It operated. It doesn't have sediment traps. But on the whole area of heating, there was no evidence of regular maintenance of the heaters. That doesn't mean anything. People don't set a sticker on it, I maintain this today. But you might like to ask for when it was last serviced. You should service a furnace every year without fail. If they burn incorrectly, they could produce carbon monoxide. It's deadly and you cannot smell it. So, it would cost to have each unit here serviced about $80 to $90. Not a small price to pay to know that you're safe. Here we got some P-traps. They should have insulation on them. If they don't, they sweat during the summer, and then you get water in the attic. You don't want that. The air conditioning checked out really well. We got an average drop on the ground floor of 21, on the second floor of 16. We want it between 15 and 20. So that's all good. Water pressure came in at just over 40 pounds. We want a pressure of between 40 and 80, so that's all good. On the water heater, we've got missing dielectric unions. They're important. They cause, if you don't have them there, they can cause the tank to rust. And I've told you that the temperature pressure relief valve are not working, and that could leak. This is the actual pressure relief valve. No, sorry, this is the faucet in the kitchen, which has got a leak. And then we got a leak in the master closet underneath the P-trap. Now, in the sewer line, and you've got a separate video for the sewer line, you'll see there are areas of standing water. This is where the sewer line is bellying, and also it may be leaking. I can't tell you that, and I can't carry out the test. You've got to be a certified plumber to start to modify the sewer line just to carry out the test, and I can't do that. This is the doming that I identified. It could be quite innocent. The instrument I use is very, very sensitive. It measures to 1/10 of an inch, and so it looks like you've got a mountain there, doesn't it? Well, it's not really. It's a small rise. But it is that telltale shape that you get when you have a water leak under a foundation. The water heaters, all three water heaters. This is the one under the sink, past its safe working life. Really should be removed, not in place. It's leaking. You see that yellow spot beneath it? That's hot water leaking out. The faucet, I put it here as well. It's in two places. That's leaking. I just want to make sure you know that you've got a leak there. Leaks are the last thing you want inside a house. Here we've got the vent hoods for the water heaters. They're not attached properly. One of them's got a retaining screw, the others haven't, and the hood feet are not fitted properly. But I really recommend you change these water heaters out. They're in really poor condition. The house is 2005. It's now 2014, so we're talking 9 years. This is past its sell-by date. It's gonna fail. It's in the attic too, and if it floods in the attic and gets through the ceilings, it'll ruin the floors. The temperature pressure relief valves do not work. Do not attempt to open them. They will leak. Sediment traps missing from both water heaters. Hydrotherapy tub did not work. Okay, I tried to turn it on. Nothing happened. Dishwasher hasn't got a backflow preventer on it, as far as I could identify. And there were signs of water leaks on the food disposal. And then when I got the infrared camera out, lo and behold, there it is, a water leak. The range was fine, but the ovens were not. I set them at 350 and we got a temperature of 264. On 264, what's the other one? 264. Oh, they were both 264, 265. So here we go. 264, 240. So they need the thermostat adjusted. The microwave oven, that was fine. The vent pipes on the exhaust to the bathrooms, they don't actually terminate outside the structure. They go to the soffits. They really should go out through the roof. It's something to be concerned about the next time you have a roof put on. You can have it fitted properly. Garage doors worked fine. Doorbell worked. Dryer vent was fine. Actually, on the lawn sprinkler system, there's deficiencies in the circuit heads. It's not spraying. It's spraying the walls. Not good. You can see here with the infrared photograph, and then the other one where the water's wet. The wall is wet because of the water. And also, I was unable to locate the in-ground isolation valve for the system. So that needs to be pointed out. You need to ask them what that is. So that's the report as it is at the moment. I'd like to talk to you about it once you've read the report in full, and then you've been able to go through this short presentation of video. Get together what questions you got. It's a really important time that we identify any issues that you might feel you're concerned about, and get those answered before you go ahead to buy. Anyway, that's the end of this presentation. Thank you very much for choosing Yellow Hat, putting your confidence in us as a company to carry out this very important inspection of your property.